Hello, lovely people. International football is upon us again. But before international football, there was club football. Top players, top Ghanaian players across Europe. And the man I have today has played in almost every continent. Big game player. I'll tell you in a jiffy. Yeah, so in a year where Paul Pogba broke the transfer market, became the world's most expensive player in an £89 million deal, I wonder how much Nii Odartey Lamptey will cost if he was still playing football. Hi Nii, you're welcome to The Tracker.
Thank you very much.
It's very nice having you. I know I had to do a lot of work to get you because of your schedule.
Sorry about that.
It's part. I mean, we need to really work hard to get what we want. But let's get deep into action. So this weekend saw two Ghanaians who normally do not score get on the score sheet. First, your son, Christian Atsu, was on the scoring sheet for Newcastle United. That was his first start. And a lot of Ghanaians say Atsu is now a nomadic player. He's always traveling from Chelsea, Malaga, Vitesse, Everton. It's a good sign, isn't it?
Well, it is. I'm very happy that Atsu scored. I think when he was going back to England, I also said that maybe it's going to be a tough place for him because, you know, his style of play, you know, he's a ball juggler. So he need a place like maybe Spain, you know, when he went for last year. I think he should have stayed there. But well, sometimes you need challenges in your life. So maybe coming back to the, you know, championship will also give him, you know, extra marks. He have to work himself up to be able to come back to Chelsea again.
You were very diminutive when you were playing. Atsu is also very diminutive. How difficult is it that for small players to adapt to very rigorous leagues like the Championship?
I tell you, very, very difficult. I remember when I went to Villa for the first time, my first match was against, is it Blackburn Rovers? Yes. No, QPR, sorry. And at that time, Tim Sherwood, he was there. I mean, you can see them very huge. I mean, and you know, they were not that type of passing football on the floor. They just kick and run. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine my size, my height? And I just want the ball on my feet. I was just chasing the ball. Yeah. As soon as I went to the striker, then it was just to the defender. It was difficult to play until they got to know me. So it's not easy for Atsu at all. It will take time, you know, for him to adapt. Especially now, the team that is playing, Newcastle, are not Manchester, they are not West Ham, they are not the type of team that, you know, passes the ball. It's going to be very difficult for him. But I'm sure, as professional as he is now, he's supposed to cope.
Well, he needs to cope. Let's get to the club you mentioned, Aston Villa. Now, you were one of the first Ghanaians to have gone to the English Premier League. You made a big impact at Villa. Villa are struggling, but they have two Ghanaians, Adoma and Jordan Ayew. We understand they've just sacked their coach. How difficult is it to settle at a club like Villa?
To be honest with you, Villa is having a nightmare now. I quite remember since Doug Ellis, you know, their former president, left the club. That's where the team started struggling. I remember when I went there, that was 94-95 season. We have a lot of huge players. You can mention the name of Dean Sanders, Fashanu, Dylan Atkinson, may he rest in peace. I mean, loads of good materials. But then since he left, you know, Villa are finding it difficult to buy this kind of players. So that's why they are suffering now. So they need somebody to take over the club and make sure he invests very well in the club. I feel sorry for Jordan, to be honest with you. When Jordan was going, I'm one of the people that Villa called, and I really recommend him that he's a good material. His height and everything is good for English football. But here is a case that the team is struggling, you know, so where do you find yourself? But I'm sure, I was thinking that maybe a team will take him on loan for this season, and then maybe next year, maybe when Villa is back, or they can sign him, you know, finally. But well, it didn't need so. But to be honest with you, I still tip the day Jordan, you know, to make it in England for sure.
Well, we'll see about that. It's been a very tumultuous first 7 weeks for them, and it has resulted in them sacking Roberto Di Matteo. What a big four. He won the Champions League with Chelsea a couple of seasons ago. Let's go to the English Premier League. It's proper. Now, adaptation. You had to do a lot of adaptation yourself. Daniel Amartey. Everybody knew him to play in defense. He's playing in the holding midfield role, vacated by Ngolo Kante. He's played there in 5 games. Some say he's doing well. Others say he's doing bad. What do you think is happening?
Well, I think he's doing well. I mean, leaving Copenhagen to come back to England. You see, anywhere, any country that you go, they have different style of playing, and you go and meet a coach that want to play a different system or different style. Your former coach doesn't do that, so it takes a bit time. But you see, Daniel is doing very well. I quite remember his first match. He even played at the right. Yes, he did very well. So I don't think he will have a problem. I mean, you see, that's why it's good to start very well. I think Daniel Amartey started very well here in Ghana, with entire lines and all that. So that's why it's making things easier for him. I don't think he will face problem at all in that position, to be honest with you.
It's looking very, very promising for him. Let's go to Dubai. You also played in the UAE at a point in time. Now, Jan scored 2 goals before coming back to Ghana. In fact, he was the first player to arrive in Ghana as the Stars gear up to play the Cranes of Uganda in Tamale. Some people say the quality and standard of the league is very low, and that's why Jan keeps on banging goals. Is this something that we can hold on to?
Well, yes, as you mentioned, I played there. I played Al Nassr. To be honest with you, their league, the standard is very low, to be honest with you. But, well, it's football being played there, so it's up to Jan to have his extra training, because sometimes you may go there in the evening going to training, and you, as the boss, you as a professional, you'll be there alone.
Wow.
So I'm sure Al N2, they have, they are professional. They are not as Al Nassr that I play. So I'm sure they have different professionals there. So it's up to Jan himself to have his maybe extra training, maybe so that his fitness level will be high.
Well, it's a puzzle Grant is paid to solve. Let's go to Germany, where 2 Ghanaians that have caught my eye this weekend. One for the right reasons and the other for the wrong reason. Daniel Amartey, he's yet to play for Augsburg this season. In fact, he's struggling since he moved there from FC Porto. Baba Rahman started extremely well for Schalke, but this weekend he was on the bench as Schalke won by 4 unanswered goals. How difficult is it that when you are struggling, you are playing well and the team is not playing well, then you actually go on the bench for the first time and then the team actually kicks into gear? Psychologically, what happens to you as a player?
It's bad. I mean, it can break you down, but that's why I say this is the profession that you've been taking that you want to do. And I'm sure you have people that will be talking to him that, listen, when it happened like this, do this. So I don't think it will be a problem for me. I mean, he was playing and somebody was on the bench. Yes, the difference is maybe they won and he was on the bench. So I don't think it will be a problem. What you're supposed to do more is when you go to the training ground, you should just work 110%.
Opari, one player that was highly rated, but it's been stagnating for him. One chance he was at Real Madrid Castilla at a point in time, played for FC Porto, played for some really big clubs in Europe. But it's surprising that he's not being able to make the grade, isn't it?
It's sad, but sometimes this is a personal thing. I will just voice it out. Sometimes there's so many private things that goes on in footballers' life that maybe we don't know.
Okay.
And that may be affecting most of them. Yeah. I may don't know. There may be something that worries him that is affecting his career. Maybe until maybe the end of his career that maybe he will realize it.
Well, we hope that
because it's sad to see such a talent that there's no way you can see him performing.
Let's go to Spain. Spain, they say it's the home of quality football. We have 2 Ghanaians making all the right moves over there. First, Kelvin Presboateng. Yes, I know he's suspended, but he's looked like a different player since he went to Las Palmas. He's a man on a mission, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe he's learned his lessons. I mean, I also mentioned Barotelli. You can put them in the same platform.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Kevin has learned his lesson. I read some of his interview that he did even regretting maybe coming to play for Ghana and all that. But well, I'm sure he's not finished yet. He still have a couple of years ahead of him. So when it comes down and maybe listen to advice very well, he should be able to bounce back. And where he goes to, I'm sure he really fits his style of play.
Well, there are a lot of Ghanaians in Italy. Let's narrow now down to Italy. We'll talk about first the big injury to one of the most consistent players, Kojo Asamoah. It's becoming a norm. Plays 3, 4, 5 games. Is knocked off his perch. Emmanuel Ajimambedu with Udinese, ever present in the setup, but Udinese are struggling this particular season. There's Donsa also with Bologna. Raman Chipsa is also there. Isaac Kofi. In fact, the legions in the Italian league is plenty, but I'm sure you'd like to have a say on Kojo Asamoah. What's happening?
I mean, it's sad. It's sad because I think this is the time that I thought maybe for long-term injury, this is the time maybe after playing for about 6 months or so, he's coming back to play for the senior national team. But unfortunately, I just said he's also out again with injury. And it's sad. Sometimes, you know, these things do happen with so many stress, so many problems, you know. And I'm sure sometimes also you should know things that you eat, you know. It's also depend on diet. You should know things that you eat, things that you don't eat. And well, for me, it's really sad and it's painful because we need Kojo in the senior national team for sure, because we need some of the experienced players in the team, especially now that we are going to start all these qualifiers and all that. And so I feel really sad that Kojo is not back again.
What do you make of the Russian league and standard? These days, we are getting a lot of Ghanaians. We have about 4 Ghanaians in there. Our central defensive parent, Jonathan Mensah, is in Russia now. Rabiu Mohammed, who is the national team, was also there. Awa Mohammed is Ghanaian. Emmanuel Frimpong is also there. What do you make of Ghanaians?
I mean, the money is good. The standard is not bad as well. I mean, the standard is good. I mean, they have very good players, very good team. You know, it's competitive. It's not like 2, 3 teams are good and the others are bad. No, they are really on the same par. So maybe that's why most of them are going there. And to be honest with you, when you play there and you come back to maybe the other big countries in Europe, it makes things easier. I mean, look like the Nigerian player, Victor. Yeah. I mean, he was there, and now look how he's performing.
Yeah, Victor Moses.
Victor Moses, yeah, he's playing. So it's good. This is an advantage for most of the African boys to play in Russia.
Well, let's finish up in Turkey. John Boy plays for Sivasspor. Now, Boy has been with the national team for the last 4 years. He's been ever consistent. And Antalyaspor Inkum. First, let's touch on Inkum. What do you make of his revival in Turkey?
Well, it's good. I mean, after, I think, Boavista, he went to
Antalyaspor in Turkey.
Yeah, and then I think he went to US as well.
Yeah, that was before Boavista.
But, I mean, it's okay. I mean, the coach that is there is also our brother, so I'm sure he can help him to, you know, to bring, you know, him back to the limelight.
John Boy plays for the first division side in Sivasspor. You think the quality is good to be #1 pairing in the national team?
Well, you see, when it comes to senior national team, you can be playing for a second division elsewhere, but if the coach has confidence in you and you are giving him what he deserves, I mean, there shouldn't be any problem. There's no problem, because I'm sure somebody may play local league here and they will say he deserves to play in the national team. So
well, the issues about playing for your national team is a big issue. Even now, England are challenging because of some of the players that has been called up. And we cannot go without touching on Harrison Affo. He scored a good goal also for Columbus Crew. In my estimation, one of the most consistent players in the national team in the last 3 years. What do you make of his abilities?
I mean, there's nothing you can take out of Harrison Affo. I mean, you can put him on the left, you can put him on the right. And I can tell you the secret that most people don't know, that even if you play him at defensive midfielder, he is excellent. So I'm not surprised that he's performing
extremely well. Nii Odartey Lamptey is one man credited with playing with a lot of clubs in Europe. And at the age of 17, some people said he was even better than Diego Armando Maradona, highlighted by some of the big clubs he's played in. Played at PSV Eindhoven when they were at the really top side of their game. Also Aston Villa when Villa was Villa, not now Villa. And Coventry City, a lot of the clubs, Anderlecht and all that. I'm particularly grateful that he passed by the tracker this week. Be sure that we'll come back again next week. Nii, I'm very grateful that you made time for us today.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
And thank you also for making time. Very busy man. But until next week, this has been another edition of The Tracker.